What's going on? I'm Ferrari Killian, the artist Ferrari Lover, and this is a quick public service announcement video, like about the Sisters of Mercy. Floodland is my favorite record of all time, aside from my own. This is my record, Cold Prince King Dream State. It's been a long time coming, but I just wanted to clear the air because there's like one, I think Trash Theory has a decent documentary about the sisters, and but the most important thing that I need to share is the fact that there's another documentary online, and basically it's actually, I mean, it would be totally, it's comical if it weren't tragic. Firstly, I want to say the real Andrew Eldritch disappeared. Whoever is masquerading and performing around town pretending to be Andrew Eldritch today, like, just, that's not him. I just know that that's not him. I'm psychic. I don't purport to know exactly what's going on, but there's always something else going on. That is not the real Andrew Eldritch. But Andrew from this time period is probably the biggest impact on me. I have a Sicilian godfather who throws these intense Halloween parties, and I was a preteen. The record came out when I was like 8 years old, I think. But I definitely identify as a vampire, so it's been centuries. But in this lifetime, I was about 8 years old when it came out. And that's a whole nother discussion. I do consider myself a Christian, but let's just say Jesus would never wear a cross. I'll leave it at that. So religion has done a lot to bastardize. It's the people who just totally misinterpret everything. I mean, could you imagine the most devout person in history? Would he wear an effing cross? Are you kidding me? Excuse me. Anyway, it's like God loves you so much that he sacrificed his only son in the most unimaginably brutal tort. Like, hello, that's not love. God is love, period. So, but the reason I think I segued into that situation about the Bible is there's a lot of Floodland is a totally biblical record. It's prophetic, and it was all written and performed by Andrew Eldritch. And someone was insinuating, they basically said, oh, they got a drum machine, they got a Dr. Avalanche. You don't get a Dr. Avalanche. Dr. Avalanche is a drum machine that was nicknamed Dr. Avalanche. I think it was a Boss drum machine. But Andrew Eldritch, and this is an example, everybody says he's such an asshole, probably in a sense, but dude, he literally wrote and performed, and all the lyrics, that's what I do. And I'm here to tell you it's a lot fucking harder than it looks, and it's an absolute masterpiece. Yes, he did. He worked with James Steinman, who's an incredible producer. What's her face? Yeah, I cover her up because, look, I'm not saying that Patricia Morrison didn't contribute, like as it says in that documentary, and as Andrew had, it's a quote from Andrew that she was a huge part of the visual identity of the band. She did not play on this Corrosion, at least. I'm not sure which track she played on specifically. He recruited her from the gun club when he was terribly, basically betrayed by his friends. And I relate 1,000% to the quote where he says, you know, sometimes it takes me a week or a month or 2 months to write a lyric. And Hussey, the guy who left, was basically, you know, Andrew was insulting him, saying he basically just needs to open the right book and say the cool thing. And he was refusing to sing the dude's songs because they were basically totally vacuous. But if you actually research, just look at the lyrics of Dominion Mother Russia, there's a lot of references to the Bolshevik Revolution, and Floodland itself is prophetic, like biblically prophetic. You know, no harm will come your way. Grace of God and raise your arms. There's a lot of like prayer symbolism, and it's this juxtaposition of strangely seemingly wearing his heart on his sleeve, and yet at the same time being this he's such a forceful, powerful force to be reckoned with, and I relate to that So anyway, and obviously he's very saying at first we were awful. Everybody has to be awful when they first start out. And uh, it's really hard. You have to suck at it. Like Tone Pusher, shout out Tone Pusher. I like that guy. He's saying you have to suck at industrial drums for like, a decade, and then maybe you'll get good at it. So Cold Prince King Dream State for me is, a reflection of decades of work. But I just needed to clear the air. And someone was basically saying, oh, they could have fired Andrew. Like, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, so he didn't want to pay someone who didn't even play on the record and was standing there for pictures, apparently. And then they're like, you better get it together, Andrew. Like, they could fire you. How the fuck are you gonna, if that's, you can't fire the dude is the Sisters of Mercy. So that's, I think, like the final last laugh. Andrew in heaven is like, he is the Sisters of Mercy. So I just think, I'm not trying to be insulting, but sometimes there's people who call themselves goth who should be insulted, and they're the reason why goth artists don't want to be branded as goth. And I relate to that, but I love the word goth. And this corrosion, Dominion Mother Russian is just, it's an amazing, I'd say, some say prayers, I say mine, right? Probably the best lyric of all time. But it's not just a lyric, it's the way it's sung and performed. And so yeah, sure, he could be kind of an arrogant jerk, and you have to be, and I relate to that as well. But it's just because the amount of work that goes into making a masterpiece is, you have to dig like deep within your soul, and really a lot of heart-wrenching hours. I mean, I just spent the last like 3 hours troubleshooting some issue with the software. And that's the other thing. Being a music producer is a lot harder than it looks. It's much more like flying a jet aircraft than people may think. And it's putting your soul and translating your soul into machinery like this and computers is something that it really is a skill, because very few people have the balls or nerve to continue working that hard at it. Sure, you could learn, and this is not to anyone who is an aspiring producer out there, and you're inspired by this, please keep going. Because I've made a lot of bad art, and I've had many, many long hours in the studio where it felt like I was going nowhere. And so I think that's why, kind of in defense of the early Andrew Eldritch, it's kind of really bothering me recently. Like, I enjoy this particular documentary, and I don't want to be insulting to someone, but they need to be insulted. The other thing is, there's a book out called Paint My Name in Black and Gold, which is a whole long history. At the end of the day, like Kurt Cobain always says, he realized when they were like trash talking him in the media, a lot of journalists are just, envious assholes. And he said, I don't really have the right to judge someone until I go to the fucking source for myself. So if you didn't personally know Andrew Eldritch in 1987, you don't really understand. But we have this masterpiece that lives on, just part of why I knew I was meant to be a musician, because ever since in a very early age, like, I knew that I was a soul. I was a soul in a body, like, made of stars. I'm not just some, I'm not even going to say the average person behaves like an ape. So, and there's always something else going on. Like, God is the ultimate artist. And Floodland's a masterpiece. Andrew Eldritch, the original Andrew Eldritch, was doing much like what I was doing. And a lot of it, this Corrosion was a revenge song. And all this other thing that's like this whole, what is it? It's a movement. No revenge, because everything's great for me, blah, blah. It's like, fuck that. Vengeance belongs to the Lord alone, like the Most High God, period. But if you've never, it is not spiritual to like not want some type of vengeance, because otherwise it would kill you. Real revenge. I mean, I've been done so dirty in my life. I've been left for dead many, many times over. I've had my reputation dragged through the mud. I've had people do, just unimaginable things. And I know that that's not God's will for me. But I'm getting a little serious here, and I actually have a funny joke. Believe me, God does revenge better, but it's not just about vengeance and negativity. I mean, the best revenge is living well. But I can relate to Andrew, like just struggling, losing band members or being misunderstood. And he was very, very highly educated. I mean, he learned to speak like 5 languages in 1 year at Oxford. He's not some dumb idiot who doesn't know what he's doing. And speaking from experience, I can say that learning to master all of these tools of the trade, like this is my passion, guitar effects. What do you do when the muse is busy, or you can't get a sound? You're practicing for 4 hours and you can't get the tone you like. It's like that's the tool of the trade, is just to keep pushing through. But yeah, it's Floodland is a masterpiece, and I just wanted to clear the air. He literally wrote all of the lyrics, performed, and all of the music. And drum machines don't play themselves. If you think if you think Dr. Avalanche was quote unquote doing the job for him, then why don't you get a Boss like drum machine from 1987 and make Floodland? Like, psych, that's not going to happen. So do your research, read some books, meditate. I am Ferrari lover, and I worked unbelievably hard to make this beautiful music for you. And if you appreciate that, 'cause there's a lot of people out there who are driving a truck or driving for Uber who should be playing a violin or learning to use a drum machine. And I don't, there are producers, but something's kind of weird going on. There's a lot of AI stuff too. I mean, it's just not, it's like I said with skateboarding, God is everything. And if the laws of physics applied rationally, we wouldn't have skateboarding, because you can't, the human body is not designed to slam 15 feet on the concrete for 5 hours till they get a trick and then walk away. There's something else going on that's divine. So the fact that musicians are able to create, and that people do create music in their bedrooms, and there are a lot of great small artists out there. If I'm talking to you and you're one of them, God bless you. Like, you are the real artist, and that's honestly, to save society, you have to keep going. But there's always something else going on, because the inspiration doesn't come from nowhere. And you never know when you might open a laptop and try to look at Ableton or Logic or something, or look at this pedal board and feel like you're walking into the cockpit of a Gulfstream G700, or better yet, a Dassault Falcon. I mean, in a lot of ways, DJing and doing all of this is like flying an airplane, literally. That's what I always say. So I guess welcome to Ferrari Lover Airlines. I've got a lot of stories where that came from. Happy Black Friday. Cheers.